Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers, sovereign thinkers. It's LLT's podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date is Thursday, October 12th, 2017. It is nice and cloudy, cool, some rain here and there in downtown Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm just going to keep a little brief, just tone down a little bit for a few things. I'm not digressing. But a lot of interesting stuff is occurring as usual, and everyone's knowing about the whole North Korea scare and Iran, this and that. Like, they're all evil, bad, wicked, bad folks, and they're all talking about Donald Trump maybe won't have the power to take FCC licenses away from news stations that does fake stuff. My oh my oh my, I just get a big kick out of all this too, so I can tell folks this, it's not going to fly, it's not going to happen. The only way fake news is going to die when people stop watching it. Plain and simple. When the demand is low, the suppliers say, hey, I'm not going to put my ads on this particular station or TV show. It's garbage. Look at the ratings. That's how things cancel, or you have to quote unquote change their format in good faith. That's why I get a big, troublesome and all that. And of course, there are Ernesto or Senna case, impersonating an officer, based what I got right now, could be nothing more than a monumental deception. And I did that in yesterday's podcast. So check it out when you have a chance, a little bit more quieter at time. Forgive me, I was a little bit tired, but it's part of being human, correct? Okay, well, I'm going to be discussing a couple of things and pertaining to alternative media, which is actually from newsbuzz.com by Kurt Nemo. Came out yesterday. It's an exclusive CFR article, calls for sabotaging alternative media. And the link on here is based from an article from Brookings.com. For the Brookings Institution. So, if you're not a member of NewsBuzz, to read his article, I encourage you do. However, I will add the Brookings Institute on here so you can read this for yourself. It's a little bit, chilling, but not surprising. All right, it says over here, foreign policy, the House organ of the Council of Foreign Relations reposted an article by Daniel Byman, a government insider and senior fellow at the Brookings Institute. Byman's article, Should We Treat Domestic Terrorists the Way We Treat ISIS? What works and what doesn't? Calls for police and surveillance state focus on domestic right-wing terrorist individuals and organizations. Byman's point of departure is Stephen Paddock, the millionaire accused of killing 58 people attending the country and western festival in Las Vegas, Nevada. The government has yet to establish a political or religious motive for the attack. Yet Byman writes Paddock fits a stereotype of a right-wing terrorist more than a jihadist one. Oh, really? Okay, from there, Byman conflates Paddock's alleged violence with that of James Alex Fields Jr., the white supremacist who drove a car into a crowd of protesters in Charlottesville. Fields' use of a car to drive through a crowd resembles nothing more than a vehicle attacks that we've seen in Barcelona, Berlin, London, Nice, and other cities in the past few years, Byman argues. From there, Byman wanders far afield. He pairs the 2015 attacks on the Planned Parenthood clinic and a black church in Charleston to the sniper attack in Las Vegas. He argues the government should treat domestic terrorism incidents the same way if it treats attacks by the Islamic State. So remember the New World Order funding, so you're just preaching to the choir and you're an insider, right? Absolutely, a plan. It is well-based and good to label left and right-wing violence at home as terrorism. But what if the U.S. government went beyond rhetoric and truly treated these groups as if it treats Americans suspected of being involved with jihadist organizations like ISIS, he writes. Byman's solution for deplorable activism falling outside the parameters of legitimate mainstream protests establish new rules to neutralize Americans who hold unacceptable political views. Treating domestic groups the way we do American individuals tied to designated foreign groups would make a profound difference, he writes. He calls for the FBI and the Justice Department to intimidate people Depending on the opinion of the Department of Justice and FBI, a confidential informant might be used to befriend the suspects and gather evidence. A gentler approach might be knock on the door by local law enforcement working closely with federal officials to assess the situation, or possibly an attempt to work with relatives and community leaders to move the individual away from violence, Byman explains. In addition, the author suggests the FBI use its notorious frame-up tactic against domestic targets. Informants would play a particularly large role with suspect jihadists. The FBI often uses undercover agents and informants who claim to be members of a foreign terrorist organization. They enrage individuals they feel have radical ideas and then encourage them to take prosecutable actions. The vast majority of Americans with political views contrary to what is sanctioned by government and the Council of Foreign Relations and are non-violent. And Byman acknowledges this. Political activity by right-wing activists does not mean a high evidentiary bar for prosecutions of domestic terrorism. Nonetheless, according to Byman, surveillance would be useful because it would provoke paranoia in the group, being monitored with some members being removed as suspected spies. You see, it's a combined control entrapment game. This is the same tactic used in the 1960s and 70s by the FBI during its long-running COINTELPRO operation. Then, as now, the primary objective is to prevent violence or terrorism, but to make people exercise the constitutional right to disagree with the government and paranoid. With the government paranoid, does vary of further political activity. Can we say Mind Control 101, PSYOPs, Operation Gladio, or Gladio B? Okay, so just get you guys just to think about these things, all right? Creating internal strife was key to the Bureau's success, writes Branko Marcetic, as one 1956 memo regarding the Communist Party explained. Harassment from the outside might serve only to bring the various factions together, whereas forcing and fostering from within the internal fight currently raging would destroy the organization while avoiding the appearance of government interference. The FBI may rejuvenate tactics from its shadowy past. The counterterrorism microscope would also reveal numerous minor but prosecutable offenses not related to terrorism. Arresting such individuals will send a message that the police were watching. Credit card fraud, drug use, and other minor crimes will serve as a justification to arrest and disrupt suspected terrorists as leverage to convince them to cooperate in other investigations of their associates, notes Byman. The FBI, however, doesn't wait around to subversive to commit crimes. In the 1960s, leaders of black nationalist groups were framed for crimes including murder in order to eliminate black militant leaders whom they considered dangerous. The FBI is believed to have worked with the local police departments to target specific individuals, accuse them of crimes they did not commit, suppress exculpatory evidence, and falsely incarcerate them. For instance, Elmer Geronimo Pratt, a Black Panther leader, was incarcerated for 27 years before his California Superior Court vacated his murder conviction. An FBI agent testified that he believed Pratt was innocent. Other illegal tactics used by the FBI infiltrated spreading rumors and forged documents to implicate targeted subjects. Activists and supporters sued or prosecuted for minor crimes investigated by the FBI and often framed snitch jacketing to make a target look like a police informant or a CIA agent. And FBI provocateurs initiated dissension within the group and encouraging and participating in violent acts. Kind of moving the table a little bit. Between 1968 to 1971, the FBI initiated terror and disruption, resulted in the murder of Black Panthers Arthur Morris, Bobby Hunton, Stephen Bartholomew, Robert Morris, Tommy Lewis, Welton Armistead, Frank Diggs, Alprentice Carter, John Huggins, Alex Raxley, John Savage, Silver Bell, Larry Robinson, Nathaniel Clark, Walter Torrey Pope, Spurgeon Winters, Fred Hampton, Mark Clark, Sterling Jones, Eugene Anderson, Proponents, Omar Wally, Carl Hampton, Jonathan Jackson, Fred Bennett, Sandra Lane Pratt, Robert Webb, Samuel Napier, Harold Russell, and George Jackson, with authors of a document submitted to the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights and the members of the Black Caucus, Congressional Black Caucus. So you know, I'm going to add this to the footnotes as well, so you can folks to read all this. I'm just going to do this right now just to get it out of the way. And come on. One moment. Shoot. Oh, there you go. Okay, nothing happened, right? Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay. So I'm going to add that. And of course, in 2008, Cass Sunstein, the former head of Obama's Office of Information Regulatory Affairs, and Adrian Volmu wrote a paper titled Conspiracy Theories. The duo coined the term conification infiltration aimed at 9/11 conspirator subculture. I remember I used to call that person Cass Scumstein. Okay, when people ask me to live in fear, I go piss on these parasites. Okay, so I'm going to add that to the memo as well, so you folks can read it on your own. And it says here, those who subscribe to conspiracy theories may create serious risk, including the risk of violence, and the existence of such theories raises significant challenges for policy and law. Sunstein and Vermeulen write, because those who hold conspiracy theories typically suffer from a crippled eschatology in accordance with its irrational to hold such theories, the best response consists in cognitive infiltration of extremist groups. It's like the Neil and Bob are for these guys, the bend over bobbing duel. Sunstein and Vermeulen argues government agents and their allies might enter chat rooms, online social networks, or even real space groups in an attempt to undermine pre-locating conspiracy theories by raising doubts about their factual premises, causal logic, or implication for political action. Tactics right out of the COINTELPRO playbook. I'm gonna add that. I'm gonna add some stuff on here. I'm gonna add that article just to give you folks a heads up. I don't know why it's taking so long. Come on, stop. Come on, respond wisely. Moonshot CVE, the Countering Violent Extremism in collaboration with Google's Jigsaw, has adopted a parallel approach and conflates Islamic jihadists and activists on the right, invariably tagged as white supremacists, and has embedded undercover social workers in extremist forums who discreetly message political recruits to dissuade them. And lately, it's been using targeted ads to offer mental health counseling to those who might be radicalized. The New York Times reported in August. The establishment knows in order to effectively discredit and take down political opposition, it must undermine alternative media. For the reason the fake news meme was created, linked to Russia, and used to blacklist a number of popular alternative media websites as purveyors of Russian propaganda. See, they're trying to use this all in one lump sum, okay? And it says here, Prop or not, and other groups have capitalized on the Russian propaganda meaning and taken it to ludicrous extremes. Props do not comply. Blacklist includes a number of high-traffic alternative websites, including InfoWars, Zero Hedge, The Corbett Report, Activist Post, the Ron Paul Institute, and others. The anonymous group has called for Congress to investigate these websites as foreign agents of influence. Oh, really? So you say Ron Paul and an Activist Post and a Corbett Report are like, foreign agents of influences? That's like a big penile microphone persuasion you're doing, That's why I laugh at these knuckleheads. Social media companies are responding to government's call to battle extremist contents online. In June, they teamed up with Global Internet Forum to counter terrorism and plan to formalize and structure existing and future areas of collaboration between our companies and foster cooperation with small tech companies, civil society groups and academics, governments, and supranational bodies such as the EU and the UN to eliminate content from social media and the wider internet. Hooray for the Club of Rome and God bless the New World Order. Correct? Absolutely. The Council on Foreign Relations exercised tremendous influence over the corporate state. Byman's article reposted from the Brookings Institute. The Brookings Institute is funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. J.P. Morgan Chase, Qatar, and others will undoubtedly help shape the ultimate government solution to manufacture crisis of extremist content. Posted to the internet and social media. In Europe and the United Kingdom, governments have proposed doctrine solutions, including levying fines or social media companies for not reacting sufficiently to alleged terrorist targets. But if you're ISIS, you're exceptional, right? New World Order 101. In August, a man in France was sentenced to 3 months in jail for liking an Islamic State photo posted on Facebook. This is a harbinger of things to come during the globalist G7 summit held in Sicily in late May. Leaders urged governments to further criminalize online content and enact censorship by proxy. In Germany, for example, the government supported a proposal to fine social media companies €50 million for failing to promptly remove hate speech. Yeah, Adolf Hitler would be proud on that one, right? Censor, censor, censor. In the late 2016, one of the primary propaganda tools of the corporate state, the Washington Post gave credence to Proponents and its hit list of alternative media sites, if corporate surveys can be believed. 44% of Americans think Russia has something to do with influencing the election through propaganda posted on above-mentioned websites and many others. State invariably reacts with coercion and violence when its monopoly of power is challenged. It's significant. The CFR is now calling for reform of COINTELPRO dirty tricks, including trapping individuals designated as domestic terrorists or Russian agents of influence. If you're Israeli agent of influence, you're exceptional. They can do it, but you can't. Exceptional. Bow down to the Star of David. Exceptional. Exactly. Just to let you know, I'm not being anti-Semitic either, my friends. The financial and political elite believe alternative media must be eliminated. Its positive influence on critical thinkers and those not wired into the matrix of government and corporate propaganda represents a serious threat to the state. Well, I am not surprised about this by any means. A lot of us like-minded individuals have been talking about this for a good 12, 15, 16 years since the war on terror has been announced. I know a lot of you folks may have heard me say it, the war on terror is a flagration or conflict with ourselves. Just to give you examples, the war on drugs and the war on poverty, etc. I can go on and on and on. But the truth of the matter is, these parasites, leeches, fleas, which are all kissed before they walk on. They want to be like zombified individuals, 1984 Orwellian society. Be dumb, stagnant, and happy. Do you want that? I don't. The truth of the matter is, my friends, they paid us with the passion, and you know what? If I offend them with my free speech and my personal views, then I'm doing something right. This is why I always tell people about social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Hey, utilize their websites to put out the knowledge and information. We know the censorship is going on. You gotta battle it out. That's what the Information Board is all about, my friends. So please, persuade everyone to be an activist in their own avenue. Use finesse, kindness, be the preacher, be the rabbi. Don't try to force people in their head, and don't try to shove this down people's throats. You gotta be the gentleman, the lady, the one you treat people with homage and or fidelity. So Kurt Niemann did a good job. I always enjoyed the site. I know too on InfoWars he had a little fallout with Alex Jones, which is understandable. Don't get me wrong. I understand his side and I respect him. However, if they take down InfoWars, even though they say Alex Jones may be a shield or agent, they take them down. Who's going to do it? It's called domino effect. That's what you got to look at when it comes to these sites. They don't want us to think. They don't want us to ask questions. They want to say truth is authority and authority is truth, not the other way around, where truth is authority and authority is not truth. Alright, so we'll have us walk around with our arms crossed and go, big brother, please let me bow down and kiss before you walk. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to add a couple of links on here pertaining to this article, because it's mainly member content only. Go to newsbuzz.com and check it out for yourself. I will do the one on Brookings about should we treat the domestic terrorists the way we treat ISIS, and I'm going to add one here about COINTELPRO COINTEL, the Untold America article. So I'm going to add those two links from this article here, and you can folks can read it yourself and go further. Don't be shy. You know, if you join the news bud, it's good because people fund it, community based. All right, so I'm going to do one more here in good faith. It's about the Second Amendment. It says here, it came out yesterday by the New American, and people can say whatever you want about them, but you know what? I give them credit where it's due. And it says here, Article 5, Proponents want to clarify the Second Amendment by Steve Bias. And as it says here, it is the agenda on the Convention States Project to clarify the word of the Second Amendment. When Congress passed the Sedition Act in 1798, limiting free speech and freedom of the press, Congressman Nathaniel Macon of North Carolina was dumbfounded, asking how could they have so ignored the clear wrongdoing of the first wording of the First Amendment. The First Amendment clearly states that Congress was forbidden to make any law abridging either freedom of speech or freedom of the press. Yet only 7 years after the First Amendment was ratified, Congress just did that. We should keep this in mind when we consider the movement to call for a national convention to consider amendments to the Constitution in order to rein in the federal government. In a recent Facebook post of the Convention of State Projects, a leading group pushing for a national convention to consider amendments to the Constitution page, someone asked, why not include an amendment to the Second Amendment in the COS? Gun control advocates wear out the point that was written when people only had muskets, so why not make it read the way we read it now? The questioner certainly had a great point. I would add this question for the enemies of the right to keep and bear arms. The Second Amendment protects only weapons used in 1791. Does that mean that newspapers may only be using printing presses that were in existence at the time as well? Exactly. In the response of the convention states a project is troubling. It's called a clarification clause, Rick, and that's very much on the agenda. Any number of the state's groups that are currently being conducted around the country composed of COS project advocates and their state legislators. Emphasis added. In other words, it is very much on the agenda of the COS to alter the wording of the Second Amendment in order to clarify its language for how they want to read it now. This is not to say that the leadership of the COS desires to do away with the Second Amendment, but certainly illustrates the dangers of the Constitutional Convention they favor. Running for COS in 2015, Charles Cooper, a lawyer who made several appearances before the Supreme Court, said our constitutional rights, especially our Second Amendment, right to keep and bear arms, are in peril. Cooper asserted that most potent threat facing the Second Amendment comes not from Congress, but from the Supreme Court. For justices of the Supreme Court do not believe the Second Amendment guarantees an individual right to keep and bear arms. Well, I can tell you this. I'll keep on going here. Cooper added they believe that Congress and state legislators are not free only to restrict firearm ownership by law by Americans, but to ban firearms altogether. If liberals get one more vote on the Supreme Court, the Second Amendment will be no more. Well, all you gotta say is, well, we got the 9th and 10th Amendments, my friend. We can give the Supreme Court the middle finger. Yes. Cooper makes it very clear that he believes the Second Amendment guarantees only to every law-abiding citizen responsible to all citizens an individual right to keep and bear arms. He offered as proof his testimony before a committee of the U.S. Senate, arguing that the bill proposed by Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democrat from California, would violate the Second Amendment. In fact, Cooper wrote, the states ensure that the Constitution will expressly protect the right of the people to keep and bear arms by adopting the Second Amendment. And we all know about Dianne Feinstein. She's just another tree of China that loves the state knows best mentality. She should be wearing an Adolf Hitler a Nazi uniform or a Mao peasant suit. And I will keep on going here. Conventions of States website also reprinted to a letter to thehill.com, which much of the same of the thinking. A COS supporter wrote, what needed is a way for more states to have the power to overturn the Supreme Court decision. The constitutional amendment could be written example allowing 3/5 of the state to vote of the state legislature to challenge the court's decision. Huh? In both of these instances, advocates of the Constitutional Convention argue that an amendment to the Constitution would protect the right to keep and bear arms, despite believing the Second Amendment already does that. In short, these supporters of the Constitutional Convention believe that the Supreme Court could misinterpret the Constitution to rule the Second Amendment does not protect the individual right to keep and bear arms. Their solution is to write a new amendment telling them, again, what is already, as Cooper admitted, expressly stated in the Second Amendment, individual Americans have the right to keep and bear arms. The problem is not that we need to make a change in the Second Amendment or any other part of the Constitution, but rather that we need to follow the Second Amendment that we already have. USConstitution.net offers a new version of the Second Amendment on its website, which would actually repeal the Second Amendment, replacing it with the words, the right of the people to keep and bear arms for hunting, sport, collecting, and personal defense shall not be infringed. What the hell is that? While it should be noted that it is not the COS website, it does illustrate the dangers of monkeying around with the Second Amendment was adopted in the first place. Yeah, I could wipe my behind on it and give it back to the idiots that wrote it. No rational person can believe that James Madison wrote the Second Amendment to protect hunting, sports, shooting, or collecting. While those are valid reasons to own a weapon, including a gun, and we can certainly agree that Americans have the right to personal defense. The fundamental reason that Madison included the individual right to keep and bear arms in the Second Amendment was a last line of defense against a tyrannical national government. COS supporters should consider that supporters of the Second Amendment would not be only delegated at a Constitutional Convention. I mean, the Second Amendment would present it too. And do we really want a convention session in charge of the atmosphere of a Las Vegas style shooting? Would it really make a difference how the Second Amendment was clarified? After all, as Nathaniel Macon noted, it took only 7 years after the adoption of the First Amendment to ignore its prohibition on Congress making any laws abridging the freedom of speech or the press. There's a slim chance that they would finally respect the clear wording of the Constitution worth the risk that pro-gun control activists would ram through an amendment with their own clarification of the Second Amendment, clarifications that will deprive all of our rights to keep and bear arms. Yeah, so that is the motive. But one thing I tell folks, we have enumerated rights under the 9th Amendment U.S. Constitution that should be like certain enumerated rights are not disparaged or deprived. Okay, that's the 9th Amendment. That's the resemblance of natural law. So all the amendments, including the right to bear arms, is a natural born right. Period. No ends, ifs, or buts. That's the 9th Amendment, and even if you read your state constitutions, they have stuff pertaining to your basic rights or enumerated rights. It may not say the right to bear arms in certain states, such as Maryland, but if you read the 45th Article 45, enumerated rights. So you can legally right to keep and bear arms in the state of Maryland, but they don't want you to know that. Just to give you guys some examples, natural law. If anything pertains to natural law, it is your right, regardless. So the whole thing is this rhetoric is null and void, and people, individuals like them that have that mindset want to clarify it, try to make it clarify, and use half-assed exemptions is nothing more than treasonous and putting our nation in peril against governmental tyranny, whether it's foreign or domestic. Because the fact is this, they want to make sure the American people are prepared to have the same equal amount of firepower than toward their adversaries. Any questions? Reread it and shut up. Deep down inside, those quacks with that mindset know I'm right. And that is it. I would like to thank everyone for listening, but feel free to download and share us throughout the social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to send me something that's interesting you may want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondences with the coin. And you can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.life, Minds.com, FutureNet.club, or Patreon.com/Logo3 if you want to be a patron, donor, supporter. That would be great. I would love you for it. Or you can hit me on Gab, G-A-B, which is gab.ai, which is another version of Twitter, okay? Furthermore, you can email me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com, or to your encrypted ones, LokiLuck03@protonmail.com. Alright, my friends, that's all for now. Once again, thank you for your time. Let's always remember that the demoniac resistance of the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.